US President Donald Trump is expected to speak with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin this week on ways to end the three-year conflict in Ukraine. US Envoy Steve Witkoff told a US news agency on Sunday after returning from what he described as a positive meeting with Putin in Moscow. All right, let's go across to DD India. Shubhendu Ghosh is joining us live from the newsroom. Good morning, Shubhendu. US President Donald Trump and Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin are expected to speak this week. Some headway expected. Where is the conflict heading?
That's right. Good morning, Abhishek. Well, the positive momentum achieved last week as far as the potential 30-day ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine is concerned. It is likely that the much-awaited direct talks between President Putin of Russia and President Trump of the United States could happen sooner than later. It is widely expected that it could take place sometime this week. Remember a quick recap, the important developments that happened last week. Donald Trump's 30-day peace proposal, the highlight of which is unconditional and immediate ceasefire. The meeting with the Ukrainian leadership in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, Ukraine agreed to that ceasefire plan, which was then taken by Steve Witkoff, the American envoy, to Moscow, where he sat across the table with President Putin and his team, and there President Trump says that important headways were made. President Putin did say that in principle Russia agrees to the idea of ceasefire, that peace is important, but he did flag some important concerns, nuances. The immediate concerns were about the fighting that is happening in Kursk. President Putin asked if this would give an opportunity, this 30-day window would give an opportunity to Ukrainian president to retreat, regroup and rearm. What are the security guarantees that will happen in the 2,000-kilometer long borderline? The fighting in Kursk, which is going on still, it was a region in western Russia where Ukraine had made important headway last year. But Russia has, till Sunday, made important inroads and reclaimed most of the regions back. In that sense, the brutal fighting continues, but there is hope on the horizon for Russia and Ukraine to come to some sort of a ceasefire deal. But we have to understand if the Ukrainian and Russian conditions are going to be met going forward.
But Shubhendu, United States proposed a halt in fighting in the conflict after talks in Saudi Arabia, with Kiev accepting the proposal. In fact, Russia has conditions underscoring its demand that Ukraine be excluded from NATO membership, and that's not his only condition.
That's right, Abhishek. We have to look at the realities of this conflict. It is not a conflict between two equal adversaries, especially not after US has made clear its sort of new geopolitical affiliations. Ukraine is on the back foot, not just because the manner in which President Trump looks at Ukraine's role in this conflict, but also that the recent developments in the battleground has been in the favor of Russia. In that sense, although Ukrainian leadership has accepted the unconditional immediate proposal for ceasefire, the Russian leadership, as I mentioned, President Putin first raised the immediate concerns of what could this ceasefire imply. But we also heard from Alexander Kryushko, the Deputy Foreign Minister of Russia, who's laid out the broader conditions for a long-term ceasefire and peace even more clearly. One factor, as you mentioned, that sort of stands out is that under no condition in the future should Ukraine be made available as a member of NATO. That is the starting point, that the NATO members must also not allow Ukraine to come into the grouping. Second, Russia does not want any armed peacekeeping troops, especially from the NATO countries. They've made it very clear. Any presence of observers could be unarmed observers, civilian observers in the region, in Ukraine in particular. And we have to read this in the context of the kind of support from Europe and UK that President Ukraine has been getting. UK and France, remember, had agreed to provide peacekeeping troops in the event of a possible ceasefire. So in that sense, there are certain very important conflicts in position that we can see. But there is a greater push. There is a great deal of exhaustion that both Ukraine and Russia have experienced. And this could be an opportunity for some kind of a truce to come into play.
All right, Shubhendu, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your time.